Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode here on European Confessions. The following story that you're going to be listening to, it comes from a translation of a message that I received. So I'm going to give you the brief narration of that message that I received. The narration reads like this. Hello, Brother Nashi, how are you? Can you please post my own story as hidden identity? I am a single mother. I want to tell you what happened when I got married the first time. So when I got married the first time, that was when I started cheating a lot on my husband. He then later found out that I was cheating on him. When he caught me cheating on him, that was when he chased me from his place. I then returned back to the village where my parents were staying. When I returned there, I had my child and I then left my child with my mom. That was when I returned back to the city and I started working in the city. Whilst I was working in the city, that was when I met this other guy, and me and him, we then started dating. The moment that we started dating, that was when I found out that this guy, he was loaded, like really loaded. And I said, for me to eat this guy's so I then said, for this guy to give me a lot of money, all that I have to do, I have to lie to him that I am pregnant. Well, I lied to him that I was pregnant, and to my surprise, he was very happy after I told him that I was pregnant. He said, you should come and stay with me. So I then went and I stayed with him. This was after I had lied to him. I said that you staying with me, even my parents, they now know that I am now your wife, so you must marry me. But this was just a lie. This was just a deception because I had not yet even informed my parents. As for my parents, they were in total darkness. They did not even know about this guy. I kept on telling him that my parents knew about him. When I started staying with him, this guy, he was loaded. He was a very rich blesser. This guy, my brother, he was giving me a lot of money, like a lot of money. And I was like just chopping his money left, right, and center because he thought that I was pregnant for him. So this guy, he then said, you and I, we have been staying together and I have not yet introduced you to my parents. So it is far much better that I go with you so that I can introduce you to my family so that they can know that I now have a wife. And I said, it is okay. So at that time, when you are staying with a rich blesser, you can even gain weight because of the way that I was eating, the way that I had peace of mind and I was not doing anything. The rest of the day, I'll be just chilling and thinking of all the ways on how I was going to spend all of his money. So I was gaining weight as if I was someone that was pregnant. And we then went to his village and I then spoke with his auntie, and the auntie seemed to like me. That was when her auntie went and informed his parents. And at that time when I was taken to his parents' house, my brother, by the time that I was taken from the auntie's place and I was then taken to his parents' house, that was when I did a lot of scandals. Each and every morning when I would wake up, I would vomit, I would pretend as if I was pregnant. Because in my heart, my brother, in my heart, there is so much deception. I can say that in my heart, there is that spirit of deception. I do not want to lie to you. So with all the things that I was doing, they thought that this woman, the way that she is vomiting, it is because she is pregnant, and they all thought that I was pregnant. So after that, that was when my husband's relatives said that he was supposed to look for someone so that the person can go and pay my bridal price. But according to our culture, you cannot just go there. First, you have to send someone to inform your wife's relatives that you intend to pay for her bride price. And I then said that no, you do not have to look for anyone because already I have someone. So I then lied to them and I said that I already had someone who was my father's friend, but this was just a lie. When we returned back to the city, my brother, I then started looking for someone. I looked for someone who was going to pretend to be my father, and I looked for someone who was going to pretend as if he was my father's friend, because my parents, they did not even know that I was already staying with another man in the city. As for my parents, they thought that all the money that I was sending to them, it was the money that I was getting as a salary at the place where I was working. Because what I used to do is that each and every time after you would have given me some money, I would wait until it was month end. Then I would go to the taxi rank and I would just buy some groceries for my parents. Then I would go and I would send those groceries to my parents. So they never thought that I was staying with a man in the city. Because as for me, this man, I was not in love with him. After the lobola negotiations had been done, that was when I thought of an idea. One day when my husband was at work, that was when I went to the shops and I bought liver. I bought the meat and I returned back home. I took that liver, then I started to mix it with some water, and I kept on mixing it until the water had turned red. And I then went and I then started to rub that liver on the sheets, because I wanted my husband to think that I had a miscarriage. Since all this time I was not pregnant, I was just lying to him, and I actually had a family implant called Jadel, so there was no way that I was going to fall pregnant for him. At that time, when I told him that I was sick, really sick, he then ran back home. When he returned back home from work, he saw that there was blood everywhere. There was blood on the floor. There was blood on the bed. But what he did not know was that this was not my blood, but this was just the liver that I had bought and I had mixed. And at that time I was on my periods, so I kept on bleeding and bleeding. He then went with me to the hospital. When we arrived at the hospital, with the way that I was pretending to be sick, I was taken straight to the theater where they did an operation on me. Then they started to clean my uterus, because I was just acting as if I had a miscarriage and I was really sick. I was given a lot of medication and a lot of injections, and I kept on pretending and pretending. That was when my husband's auntie came, and she was the one who was taking care of me. After that, that was when I spoke with my husband and I said, please, can you at least go back to my parents so that you can pay for my bride price? So since he was making a lot of money, my husband then said, okay, let us organize a date. So when he said that, let us organize a date, and that was when I went around speaking with some prostitutes until I found one woman. So this woman, she had the same body structure that I had, and she was also light in complexion, since I am also light in complexion. So it seemed as if she was my own mother. And this woman, she was just a prostitute, and she had one of her boyfriends. Then she spoke with her boyfriend, who then pretended to be my own father. And after I had told my husband that my parents had given us a date, I was then given some money, and my husband then told me to buy some African attires for my parents as well as for my other relatives. And when the day arrived, that was when my husband and his relatives, we then went to that prostitute's house, and they did not even know that this woman whom they thought was my mother, she was just a prostitute, and the man that they thought was my father, he was just her boyfriend. And this was just a fake thing that was happening. They came, my brother, they had a lot of money, and after my bride price was paid, that was when that woman, as well as the other prostitutes who were pretending to be my father's sisters, they said that, please just leave her here, because we want to teach her the proper way to take care of your son. And they both agreed. That was when I was left behind. But what they did not know was that these women, the reason as to why they said that I was supposed to be left behind, it was because we wanted to share the money. And after my husband and his relatives had left, and when they returned back to the city, we then started to share the money. My brother, I made a lot of money. This man, after a couple of years, that was when I said that, if you love me, can you please go and finish up, because you are supposed supposed to give my parents something. He then returned back and he paid the rest of the money. I was making a lot of money. Even the businesses that I am running right now, this man, with the money that he was giving me, I was able to start a business, and my parents did not even know this guy. When I saw that me and this guy, we had stayed together for a very long time, I then said, it is far much better that I just find a reason to dump this guy, because I did not want to fall pregnant for him, because I did not love him. And I was scared that he was going to find out that those that he thought were my parents, they were not my parents. And if I was going to fall pregnant for him, the truth was going to come out. That was when I heard that my husband was dating this other girl. I was happy, because this was what I was waiting for. This was the opportunity that I was waiting for. I then reported him to his parents, because I knew that they loved me a lot. I went there and I threatened to kill myself. I said that I loved him a lot, but he was cheating on me, because I had failed to give him a child. And everyone was really sad, because his relatives, they loved me. Whilst I was there, I told him that I did not love him anymore, because I had found out that he had impregnated that woman that he was dating. That is how I dumped the guy that I was staying with. He did not even know that to me, this was just a fake marriage. I benefited a lot of things. I was able to buy myself a house. I was able to start a business, and he did not even know that this was what I was doing in secret, because he was making a lot of money. As for me, when I was staying with this guy, I just saw myself as someone who was working for him, and him sleeping with me, he was supposed to pay me, and he was paying me very well. I know that out there are those ones that are going to judge me, but why do you want to judge me? Because out there are some prostitutes. Are there no prostitutes out there that sell their cookies? I was selling my cookie to this man the same way that the other prostitutes sell their cookies to the other men that they meet in the street. Your dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by our dear sister. So that was the narration of her message, hoping that the story was not lost in translation. She said that I just wanted to chop my own bride price money. I just ate my dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by our dear sister. She is saying that I just wanted to chop my own lobola money. I did not want anyone to chop my money. Your strange things do happen in this world.